Alrighty, so hey everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nia and this is Virago Warrior Wednesday. So last week I shared the beginning part of my testimony, and it was so much. I said I would come back and do a part two. So even though I got this banging sinus headache, I am going to do the part two like I promised. I feel a little groggy and a little out of it, but I promise you guys a part two. So that's what I'm gonna do today. If you didn't see part one, watch that so you could kind of pick up where I left off and understand where I'm coming from. So I think where I left off last time, I had just had my twin daughters. I had my twin daughters from a previous relationship, a friends with benefits relationship with a guy that was my best friend and stuff like that. So I just had my twin girls, and they ended up being premature. So since they were premature, I had to leave them in the hospital for a little while. They were born at about, I think I just was turning 8 months, and they came early, which is pretty normal for twins because since there's two, they're usually the size of an average baby. So your body thinks that you're full term. So a lot of times you'll end up having them early. So I had them at around 33 weeks, I think, if I'm remembering right. Had them at like 33 weeks and everything, but they had to stay at the hospital for like maybe a week because they wanted to monitor them and make sure their breathing was good. They gave them steroids and all this stuff. So mind you, I have two little ones at home. I have a 3-year-old at home and I have a 2-year-old at home. And now I just have a set of newborn twins. So I went home and everything, but I was nervous. I was nervous to bring them babies home. I think even if it had been one, I would have been kind of nervous because I was like, 3 kids, what in the world am I going to do? Like, what did I get myself into? So I'm at home like, dang, when I go get them, I'm gonna have 4 babies. Like, what in the world am I gonna do? So I was kind of nervous. And the thing was, on top of that, I didn't have a vehicle either. So I didn't have any transportation. So that was an issue. So that made it difficult for me to go and get the babies. But really, it was just the nervousness, like, how am I really going to do this? Am I going to be able to maintain? Am I going to be able to take care of them and stuff? So I took so long to pick them babies up. The social worker was calling me like, Miss Chambers, are you going to come and get the babies? Like, do you want the babies? And I'm like, yeah, I want the babies. It's just transportation, I just took so long. That lady was really scared. Like, she thought I wanted her to have the people come and get my baby. So I said, let me get a ride and go get these kids. Cause this lady think I don't want my kids. So I ended up, I think I asked my mom to pick them up. It's been so long. I asked my mom to pick them up or whatever, and she brought me to pick them up. So when I had the twins and I brought them home, it probably was, I don't even think it was 2 full months later. That's when I met a new guy. And he was so nice and sweet. And he had this little Southern North Carolina accent, little gap in his teeth. And he was just so funny. And he was helping me with the babies. And it was summertime. So I would like sit on the porch with the kids and stuff like that, let the older kids run around. And he was visiting his aunt downstairs. And so he would see me on the porch all the time. And He would help me with the kids when I was getting ready to go upstairs, or if one of the older kids was running around, he'll go grab them for me or whatever. He knew what to do. Like I said in the other one, Stevie Wonder could see what I needed. It didn't take rocket science. I was a young 20 something. I have 4 kids under 5 years old. Anybody could have saw what I needed. Anybody could have seen, what I wanted. But he just seems so nice and sweet. And so he's helping me with the kids and everything. He helps me bring them upstairs, once I'm ready to go in the house and stuff. And we started talking and everything, and eventually I ended up getting involved with him and stuff like that. And he was just nice and sweet, everything I could have wanted. I felt like I hit the jackpot, especially since things didn't work out with the friend or whatever, and I had stopped talking to him and stuff. I was like, wow, this is really heaven sent. And so I even remember, like I was saying in the other video, he has said to me, he sent me to you. He sent me to you to take care of you or whatever. And that was a prophetic word that I had gotten. And so I really was thinking like, yo, this is God all day, because I got this prophetic word and here he is, saying he sent me to you or whatever. Listen, I was so gullible. I was so naive. I should have asked he who, he who, because I'm thinking it's Lord and it was Lucifer. So because he said that, I'm really in love. I'm like, wow, God promised that he would send somebody to love me, and he's just helping me so much, and he's helping me take care of the babies, and he was laying it on thick. He was laying it on thick, y'all. He was like making bottles and changing diapers and, oh, Nia, go ahead, go take a shower. Just relax. I got them, this and that. And he was really good with them too, So, I trusted him and everything. He was good with them and everything. And, the thing was too, it was so much stuff going on and I know that's why the Lord had me write a book. I went through so much stuff. I was so foolish. Please learn from my life. I went through it so you don't have to. Learn from my life. That's all I can say. Get the book. Learn from my life. So he was helping me and everything. I started getting involved with him and stuff. But at the time, I was on maternity leave. I was on maternity leave from my job, but it wasn't paid leave. I had went to this state to try to get help for the 6 weeks or whatever that I was going to be out. But it wasn't enough to cover my part of the rent. I was staying with a girlfriend of mine or whatever, but it wasn't enough to cover my part. But I wasn't ready to go back to work and stuff like that because the kids were still kind of small. So I was getting behind in my part of the rent because I wasn't getting enough money. I wasn't getting enough help from the state, and I didn't have money from my job. I just only had the time. So as time is progressing and stuff, I'm just getting further behind. So we ended up getting evicted because of me, because I didn't have my part of the rent and I didn't have anywhere to go. So he was staying downstairs with his aunt. And so he asked the aunt if we could come stay down there with him. And so we ended up moving in with his aunt and stuff. And she let me have one of her son's room to rent out or whatever, for a couple of months till I got on my feet. But me, being the irresponsible person that I was, because that was another thing. I was horrible with money. I was always misappropriating funds. I was irresponsible. Whatever I was supposed to do with money, I was always doing something else. If I needed to pay the light bill, but I wanted some ice cream, I was getting that ice cream with my greedy self. I would worry about stuff later. I was just horrible with money. Never managed it well. Never learned learned about it, never was disciplined, learning what you were supposed to do. And my poor mom, she not here, but I learned my bad money habits from her, because she would always be like, well, I'm borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. And you pick those things up, going to buy something instead of paying the bill. Oh, I'll pay the bill later. I never learned to prioritize. I never learned to budget and things like that. So I was horrible with my finances. So I was always behind, always trying to play catch up, always getting evicted, never having enough to pay the rent, and not being disciplined. And then, I see now when I look back, dealing with my children emotionally, dealing with life emotionally, going according to my feelings instead of the facts, instead of what needed to be done. A lot of times, the kids' birthdays would come up and stuff. And as a parent, you want to get things for your kids, but it's not cool to take away from the things they need. They need a place to live. They need a roof over their head. Like, sure, you want to buy them this extravagant gift, but what good is the game system if you ain't got no wall to plug it into, but dealing with stuff emotionally, I will go get the gifts, or I'll go get the game system and stuff, and then be trying to scramble and figure out what I was going to do later. And I even remember when I went to the state to get help, the lady was like, well, what are you going to do about the other part of your rent? And I was just like, I don't know. And that was the thing. I was always just putting a Band-Aid on stuff. I was never giving things any forethought. I was never looking ahead. It was always like me scrambling and being all frantic. Well, I'm just going to do this for now. I'm going to just do this for now. Then when the dam breaks, I'm trying to control the flood. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do while I'm getting washed away, when I should have planned, and did things ahead of time. And I would do that all throughout my life. It took me so much to get in my head, how to really do things. And because I was so irresponsible in so many areas of my life, probably every area, my kids suffered. I suffered and my kids suffered because of me being irresponsible and undisciplined and stuff. So there we were renting a room from his aunt. And she gave me a couple of months to stay there, and I wasn't saving. I was not saving. She gave me time. She said I could stay there. I wasn't saving. What was I doing? Buying stuff for the kids, buying clothes for them, buying this, buying that. So the time was winding down. I think it was January, she had said I had to leave or whatever. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I got the kids and stuff. She probably ain't going to ask me to leave if I have the kids. I'll just ask her for more time. But the thing was, honey, when that time came up, she was like, you got to go. Kids, no kids, she didn't care. You got to go. And already she really didn't care for me all like that on top of it. So it was very easy for her, and she was one of those people. She was like nice, nasty. 1 minute she was nice, 1 minute she wasn't. So she made this whole big old thing. She put me and the kids out. I was like walking back and forth, bringing my stuff to the porch. I had to find somewhere to go. I ended up, asking the babysitter that was watching my kids when I was working before. I asked her if I could stay with her. I ended up having a bladder infection. I had gallstones, not bladder infection. I had gallstones on top of it. So then I had to have surgery. So then when I had surgery for my gallbladder, that extended the time I wasn't going to be at work. So now I got fired. It was just one catastrophe after another. So now I lost my job. I had to have surgery. Now I'm getting kicked out. I'm putting all me and all the kids' stuff on the porch, trying to find somewhere to go. The babysitter says that we could stay with her for a while. And then I go to stay with her. Typical old black lady. She got to talk junk. She going to help you, but she going to talk junk. So now I got to listen to her tell me how foolish I was, how dumb, this, and that. I'm sitting there crying and snotting and everything. She's like, don't cry now. you gotta pay to play and this and that. And I'm like, lady, not now, please, not now.
All right, Virago.
So here we go with the demonic distractions.
Oh
But
boy.
let's see.
I say I.
You guys, I'm sorry. Anyway, I don't know how to get this off. Let's see. There we go. All right. So she's telling me basically how stupid I was and this is that and other. And I agree, but it's like, girl, I don't need to hear this right now. My life is in shambles. I'm unemployed. I ain't got no job. I got 4 kids. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm getting put out. I'm being humiliated. Like, not now, and I remember something she said to me, and we take it so lightly, the things that we say to people, but we have to watch what we say. We have to watch what we say over ourselves. We have to watch what we speak over other people, what we speak over our children. And I remember her saying, you're always going to be running from pillar to post, just basically speaking that word curse over me that I was always going to be running. I was never going to have a place stationary and this and that. And that's exactly what happened. Yes, I contributed to it. I'm not saying that, just because she said that. But in those broken moments, it's so important what is being spoken over us and what is being said, because you're absorbing that. You're taking that all into your spirit because you're more open. You're broken. You're going through traumatic things and stuff. And she was right. I was always running from pillar to post, from thing to thing to thing. The good thing was I ended up getting a job. A friend of mine worked at an insurance company and I ended up getting a job, but it was so far away. It was a couple of cities over. So it was like planes, trains, and automobiles trying to get to the job. So I would, it was good that I was living with her though, because at least I didn't have to bring the kids to the babysitter. Now we were living with her, but then still I had to take like 2 buses to get to the new job. Then I had to take a shuttle. Then I had to walk like a mile from where the shuttle dropped you off and then work my little 8 hours and do everything in reverse. And it was just really, really hectic. So after a couple of months, she got tired of us being there because it was already her husband, her 2 kids, and now it was me and my kids too. So she was asking me if I was looking for a place, but I lied and said I was, but I wasn't. I was just trying to get my head wrapped around everything. And that was another thing. No matter who I stayed with, I was never prepared. I was just always trying to catch my breath. And it seemed like as soon as I would catch my breath, people would be like, yo, you gotta go. We tired of you. You just gotta go. So I could never like fully get on my feet. I could never get my head wrapped around everything. So she was asking me about a place and I was like, yeah, I'm looking. I'm waiting for these people to call me back, lying through my teeth, just stalling, trying to get more time. And one day, she called me at the job and she's like, oh, I talked to these people at the shelter. They might have space or whatever. You should give them a call. I was not trying to go to no shelter. I watched too much TV. I'm like, them places with the cot that you gotta put the cot on top of your sneakers and make sure nobody don't steal your stuff. Like my mind was all over the place. I never was at no shelter. I was like, I ain't trying to do that with 4 little kids. She crazy. I ain't calling them people. I was like, I'm gonna figure something out. But I told her I would call them. Listen here, I came to that house after work. Homegirl had my stuff packed. You hear me? She had my stuff packed. Everything I had was in some black garbage bags waiting at the door. The kids' stuff, everything. I was in total shock. I was just standing there with my mouth open like, say word. She didn't pack up all my stuff. So I'm like in shock. I don't even know what to do. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what's happening. She's like, I'm gonna bring you guys to the place. I called them. They said they have space, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, what could I say? It's her house. I can't, what I'm gonna say? Hell no, we won't go. I didn't have no choice. So I'm just dumbfounded and I'm like, okay, well, I said, let me look around and make sure I have everything. Listen, that room that I was staying in was spick and span. I mean, she picked up everything. It wasn't nothing left. Not a crumb, not a shoe, not a shoelace, a barrette, a bobby pin. She picked up everything she felt like I could possibly own. And everything was in a bag. And she just had me pack all of us up into her little station wagon. And she brought us to the shelter. And the thing was, I wasn't mad at her for bringing us, but the terror of just not knowing where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. It's just me and my babies, getting kicked out again, feeling like I wanted something stationary to hold on to. I wanted to feel secure. It was just the worst feeling of being rejected, being tossed out again, not being able to figure things out, just such an insecure feeling. And so it wasn't a long ride, but it felt even shorter. It felt like it was 2 minutes. It was like I closed the car door and we teleported there. We were there so fast. And she got us out of the car and walked us into the place, walked us into the office to talk to the lady. And she left us there. The good thing was it wasn't a horrible place. Thank God. That's why I say God be looking out. He knows. He goes before us even when we don't know where we're going. So it was a shelter, but it was a multifamily house that had been turned into a shelter. And so we had our own apartment and everything. So we had our own kitchen, bedrooms and stuff like that. So I was like, whew, it was a sigh of relief because all I could think of was them wild movies like that are in the city with all the bums and everything with the cots. 50 million cots all over the place and stuff, but it wasn't like that at all. We had our own little apartment and everything. So that began the struggle of trying to get from the shelter to her house and then to work. And that was a journey in itself. And it was winter time. So that made it so hard. And my babies now were at this point, they were probably like about 8 months. So if you know anything about babies, that's when they are the heaviest and that when it is the worst. Because them babies was weighing about 20 pounds a piece and they were so big, it seemed like they should have been walking, but they weren't quite old enough to walk yet. So I should have had biceps, triceps, all kinds of stuff. So I got 2 carriers in each hand. I got a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old trying to walk through knee-deep snow. I'm trying to have them step in the steps of people that went before us. We leaving at the butt crack of dawn to go catch the city bus. I'm trying to get on the city bus with the carriers and the kids and, putting my money in and all this and that, trying to have my pocketbook, the diaper bag, the carriers, trying to find space, trying to get people to move. 300 pounds of me all in the way. It was just a mess. And I had to do that for months and months and months. And so the guy that I had just met that was helping me with the babies and stuff, he would come visit us on the weekends or whatever. And we would hang out at the hotel and stuff because you couldn't have company at the shelter. So we would go to the hotel and everything, just have peace of mind, just be able to hang out and stuff like that. And that's where I got myself into more trouble. So one of the times that we went to the hotel, I woke up the next morning and I was like, babe, I had this dream. And I just called it a dream, but it wasn't really a dream. It was just, honestly, everything was pitch black. I didn't dream anything, but I just woke up just feeling this feeling like I knew that I was having twins. I just woke up, I just knew. And even though God had dealt with me in other ways in the prophetic, I had never had him do that with me where I just had that knowing. But I woke up just knowing, and I was like, babe, I had this dream that I had twins with you. And he just laughing and joking like, oh, that was the best dream you ever had. And I'm like, dude, like, nah, I don't take this lightly. You don't understand my gifting. You don't understand how God deals with me. When you're spiritual and the other person is not, they might as well be asleep. They don't get it, or they'll feel like you being extra. Sure enough, the following month, period was ghost, gone, nothing, nada, not a pink drop, not nothing. And took a pregnancy test. I was pregnant again. So go through staying at the shelter for a while and ended up finding an apartment. We probably were at the shelter a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months, ended up finding another place. The babysitter actually helped us find a place, found a nice little cute apartment that I could afford and stuff. And that's where his mask totally came off. So now that I had a place, his bright idea was to move in with me. It started off with, how people do. They start off with a pair of drawers and a couple of socks or one outfit just in case. Next thing you know, the toothbrush is there, the body wash, the soap, everything, then the black garbage bag. And that's how it was. All of a sudden, now he's with us, and he just never left. He just was always there. But then this is where I started to see his true colors. Once we got the place, once I was there with all the kids and everything, then it was like, him never being around. He's always gone, coming home super late at night, 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, then starting to not come at all. And it was, oh, babe, at my aunt's house, we be having the card games and this and this and that. So it was just that total thing of just the disrespect, never coming home, can't find him, unreliable. And at this point, I think after a while, I got fired from that job that I had where I was working so far and everything. And he was watching the babies for me, because after a while the lady didn't want to watch the kids anymore. She just felt like she was getting older, she was getting tired and stuff. So he wasn't working. He had worked for a little bit when I first met him, but then he got fired or whatever. So he wasn't working. So he had stayed home with my kids while I was going to work and stuff. And there was even a few times where I would come home from work and my kids would be in the room by themselves. And I'm like, what the heck? Where is this dude at? And then he would come in a little bit after me, like, oh, I just ran down the street real quick or whatever. And I'm like, yo, how you leaving my kids by themselves? Like, that's crazy. Like, you can't be leaving them like that. So it was the stress of me having to work, knowing that he's watching them, but he's totally unreliable and worried about what's going to happen with my kids. But thank God, the Lord always covered them and stuff. And eventually I ended up finding a daycare for them to go to, and he would drop them off for me. And I ended up getting another job at the bus company. And the funny thing was, I used to always joke to people like, Dad, I need to drive a school bus. I got so many kids. See, that prophetic gift be working. So I ended up actually working for the bus company, which was good because then I could bring my kids on the bus with me. But this was the beginning of him just showing his whole behind. He was just horrible. He was terrible. I'm arguing with him about, not coming home and stuff like that. And this also was the danger of not having a self-esteem, having a low self-esteem, because he was a master manipulator too. And I was so gullible, self-esteem so low, I would always second guess myself. I would question myself, like, am I being unreasonable? should he come home at 9 and 10 o'clock? Am I being too restrictive or whatever? I didn't trust my own judgment, not understanding that how I feel is just how I feel. There's really no right or wrong. It's like you feel the way you feel. And if someone loves you, they will respect how you feel. They won't want to make you feel any kind of way. They don't want to make you feel insecure. They want to do, what pleases you, what makes you happy. And I always just wanted a normal relationship. I just wanted somebody who wanted to work, who wanted to be home, who was family oriented. And he portrayed like he was like that. But then as soon as he moved in with me, it was a whole nother story. Time progressed and I end up getting my taxes. And so I wanted to get a vehicle. I had 6 kids. I needed a vehicle because I was tired of being in that house, being stuck. He's going everywhere, ripping and running, seeing his mom because she lived close, and I'm just stuck in the house with the kids. And we were on the second floor. It was so hot, it felt like an attic though. But we were on the second floor, and I was always stuck. I was always stuck in the hot house with the kids. Couldn't bring them anywhere. Couldn't really take them anywhere because there were so many of them. So when the time came for my taxes, I was like, you know what? It's gonna take my whole income tax refund, but I'm going to invest in a van because I don't want to be stuck in the house. Oh, you don't need to get the car. We could do something else. And the thing was too, he was selling drugs. He didn't want to keep a job, but he was selling drugs. I thought he was just selling weed, but he was selling a little bit of everything. So he's selling drugs. So that was his excuse for being back and forth too. Like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm meeting somebody for this. I'm meeting somebody for that or whatever. So he was running back and forth. So it was like, no, you don't need to get a vehicle. I don't even remember what his excuse was, but I wasn't trying to hear it. One thing about me, I've always been a nice person, but I'm not like, you can't just talk me into stuff. Like all the stupid stuff I did in my life, I just did because I wanted to. It wasn't like somebody, not that that's good either, but it wasn't like somebody talked me into it like, Nia, the sky is pink. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is pink. No, like the dumb stuff I did because I love the person. I wanted to be there, whatever. You couldn't just talk me into stuff. So even though he was telling me I didn't need to get a car and this and that, I wasn't going to be stuck in that house no more. Not another summer was I going to be stuck in that house. So got my money and I got myself a vehicle. But then when I got the vehicle, it was like, oh, babe, let me get the keys. I want to run here real quick. And eventually it got to the point where I had to ask him when I wanted to do something with my car. He took my car over. I had ended up getting a cell phone because I didn't have a cell phone. And he took that over too. So it was like, even though I was trying to make progress, I still wasn't getting anywhere. He was taking over my phone. He took over my vehicle. I was still stuck in the house. And it was even more frustrating because I had the means to do what I wanted, but I didn't have the backbone, to stand 10 toes down and be like, look, this is my stuff. Like, what are you doing? No, like I'll give you a ride if I feel like it, but no. But so when I had a young girl, a teenager that would help me with my kids. And when she would come, I would use her phone. And it was so humiliating to use her phone, to call my phone, to try to get in touch with him and listen to myself say, leave a message. But that's what manipulators do. People come into your life and they take over your things. That's what the enemy does. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He stole my peace. He stole my literal, material items. I didn't have my car. I didn't have my phone. Everything that God was blessing me with, because of the person I was attached to, I was losing stuff. My life wasn't getting better. My life was getting worse and worse and worse. And we have to watch those patterns. When you bring people into your life and your life starts going downhill, you got to let those people go. That's a pure sign that that's not from God. It don't even, you don't have to be spiritual when you just see your life going downhill. But I was so determined to be in a relationship. I was so determined, to have a family, to have a man, and have a father for my kids and stuff like that. But in reality, he wasn't even being a father. He was never there. He was always ripping and running and in the street and, selling drugs and stuff like that. I didn't live that kind of life. I didn't come from that. I was always working, doing things on the up and up. We were just two different people, two different lifestyles. He wasn't thinking about a Jesus, nothing. He wasn't trying to go to church. We were totally unequally yoked. But because of my emotions and because of that desire for a relationship and a man, I just let him just tear my life up little by little, putting up with stuff that I should never have put up with, doing things I should never have done. And then it got to the point where he leaving the weed at the house with me. So now he leaving the weed at the house with me. He ripping and running, doing what he want to do. He got me going to the door. I'm like, what in the world? It's kids here. Ain't no way. So a few times I did it. People came for him or whatever. I'm giving him the bags and this and that. But I told him, I ain't going to do that. And you can't hold your stuff here. It's kids here. Like, I'm built for a lot of stuff, but not prison. I am not the one. No, I ain't that kind of ride or die. We ain't doing that. So I told him he had to take his stuff with him. I wasn't going to do that. But if you allow it, people will have you doing anything. People will have you doing all kinds of stuff you don't believe in. And that's why we got to have boundaries. You can't love other people or desire their companionship so much that you lose yourself, you lose sight of yourself, you lose sight of your morals and your standards for life. You're with people who don't respect you as a person, don't respect your opinion, don't respect your feelings. And he didn't. I didn't want to admit it, but he didn't. He did not care about me. How you care about me, but you leaving a big old bag of weed for me to sell with 4 kids under 5 years old in the house? No regard. Anybody could have came there. I don't know who's watching the people. And then that was the thing too. I knew I couldn't be a drug dealer because I was like, ain't no way. Because the same reason why they do it is the same reason why I can't. The nonstop traffic, you making my house all hot. And you never get a break. It's like Christmas Day coming, New Year's Day coming, Thanksgiving Day coming. I couldn't. It was too much. I said, nah, this not for me. I can't. I'm all aggravated. As soon as you sit down, somebody else at the door. I can't. That life wasn't for me. I was like, nah, you gotta take your stuff with you. So that was just the beginning of me really seeing how he was and stuff. And then after a while, he was just still living his life, doing whatever, not coming home or coming home super late. And I get a dream. God gives me a dream about him getting arrested. And he ends up getting arrested. And when he gets arrested around that time, God blesses me with my own spot. And during that time also, once again, I was getting behind on my rent because of the time period of where I wasn't working and stuff, waiting for unemployment. So I did my usual. When unemployment finally did come, Nia wasn't paying no bills and stuff. I'm getting other stuff. I'm buying cribs and yeah, it was necessary stuff, but still it was like I wasn't prioritizing. So I got behind in that or whatever. And so that landlord started an eviction process. But even in the midst of that, God had made a way where I had applied for housing and I had forgotten about it. And it was like right on time. I ended up hearing from them and getting housing in another town, and he was arrested and he was away at that time. And now I'm pregnant or whatever, and maybe by the time everything with the housing and stuff goes through, My new babies are about one. They're either one or they're almost one. So now it's six of them, six kids. And he gets arrested. And I told him when I had the dream, but like I said, when you're spiritual and that other person is spiritual, they don't care what you're talking about. They barely believe in God. They definitely ain't gonna believe in you saying you had no dream. They think it's the pizza you ate or some mess like that. But he didn't know, that that's one of the ways that the Lord communicates and stuff. And so it was this day where I tried to tell him, like, I don't have a good feeling. I feel like you should stay in the house. I just don't go out. I don't think you should go out. And he didn't listen. And I knew he wasn't going to listen because he had to be gone. He never stayed home. He was always in and out. He couldn't be still. Went outside, got popped, got locked up, did, I don't even remember how long he did. Was it a year? It might have been a year. I don't even remember. He was in and out so much. But by the time he got home, I was in housing at the other place. Now that I look back, it was always God trying to make a way of escape for me. He was always getting locked up for a good amount of time. Then I would get this clarity about what I needed to do with my life and how I needed to proceed and getting on my feet. And then when he come home, I end up taking him right back. He be doing his shenanigans all over again, like they be saying on Only Black Kids. If you let them shenan, they're gonna shenan again and again. And he sure was. All the shenanigans, same mess, in and out, never home, ripping and running, always cheating, and cheating with one of his baby mothers that he was always dealing with. Then he ended up having a kid on me. It was just a lot. It was just a lot. Like, that's why God had me write the book. So this is my book. It's called Girl Listen. Girl Listen, like bochinche, like gossip, but girl listen, like listen. Like, don't do it. Listen to me. It's so much stuff. I could be here all day, but I won't talk y'all to death. But my life is just an example of why you need to obey God and the faithfulness of God, even when you are not right, even when you wrong as two left feet. God was always there through the whole process. Had I listened to the Lord, had I listened to the promptings, if I had listened to the wise people that he had around me, if I had listened to the dreams that God was giving me, if I had followed my spirit when I got that little reserve, like, I don't know, I would have alleviated a lot of the heartache and the pain and the things that I went through. I was so not healed. I needed to be healed. I did not understand how much God loved me. I was so busy chasing a man and chasing family and chasing stability. I wasn't seeking God in that area of my life. I was seeking God in other ways, but I wasn't seeking God for that heartbreak that I had, for that emptiness that I had, as far as feeling loved and feeling wanted, having that spirit of rejection always driving me to try to hold on to people so hard, having those abandonment issues. So when you're not healed, you'll pull all kinds of toxic people into your life who don't need to be there. And even when I finally got up the strength to leave, and got tired of his mess, all I did was pick the same man in a different body. And this one was even worse. So after my baby father, I met somebody. Once again, that's serial dating. Before I could get out of one thing, here come the devil sending something else. So just before I was breaking up with my baby father, the next door neighbor to the new place that I had just moved to, he started coming around, but he was an alcoholic. And so dealing with him, and that was the crazy thing too. Everybody has some kind of substance problem. I never did drugs in my life. I don't know why I kept picking up these people who just had to get high every day. I don't know. I had issues. I had issues. I had serious issues. But he was an alcoholic. And so finally I left my baby father alone, but I was dealing with him, but he was an alcoholic. So you can only imagine all the stuff I was going through with him. And then once I started dealing with him, that's when I almost died. So that was an abusive relationship. It started off with yelling and screaming and arguments, and then it was pushing, and then it was shoving, and then it was hitting, and then it was choking, and then I got strangled and almost lost my life. And after that, it was like, okay, girl, okay, you tired now? I know the Lord's like, are you done? Are you done? That was it for me. It took a lot, but that was it for me. And I had to sit down and be real with myself and say, when it comes to relationships, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know, almost died. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to pick people. I'm just grasping at straws at this point. If I keep going the way I'm going to die. And I'm going to die in my sins. I done spent all this time being in church, never left church, in church, singing in the choir, dancing, shouting, praying, singing, and home living crazy, flesh out of control, no discipline, no order, no structure, not submitted, and I had to just realize, like, girl, you are going to die. You are going to die in your sins and bust hell wide open. And you've been in church all that time. And that's why I say that when I preach or when I say something, a lot of times it's from experience. It's no point in us being right in the church and missing God. There's no point in being right in the church and going straight to hell. It makes no sense. We're right underneath that word. We're right underneath good teaching. The Lord is right there. We have access to him. We gotta submit. We have to line our lives up. Yes, we struggle with certain things, or we may need the revelation about things, but we have to line our lives up with the word. And the things that the Lord says no to, it is for our protection. It really is. I know we've all heard it at some point, but it truly is. God loves us and he sees everything that we don't see. He sees everything we don't see. I don't care how much you love that person. I don't care how much you love that girl, how good she looked, how wonderful she is. If God says no, let it go, because you don't see what's down the road. You don't see that person's intentions. It's so much more than just you being happy, just you being in love. That is not enough. We get together with people for purpose, for God's will to be done on the earth. It's not just about who we love. Being in love is not enough. It's about the purpose of God. Did God call you to be with that person? Can they hold you up? Can they pray you through? Can they help you sustain your ministry? It's so much more. It's not physical. It's not about sex. It's not about how good you feel. It's not about how good they look. It's about, is this person the person that God has for you? And we have to consult the Lord. We have to ask him. We have to pray. A lot of us, we just get in stuff and then we want to talk to God about it later. No, pray first. Pray before you waste your time. Pray before you drop your drawers. Preferably don't drop them at all, because sex clouds your judgment. Sex clouds your judgment. Once you have sex, forget it. You are googly-eyed. You got rose-colored glasses. Don't let it be good. You be on cloud nine. You can't hear. You get deaf to the Holy Spirit. You can't hear nothing. You can't see nothing but that person. No. Keep yourself. Keep your legs closed long enough to see who that person really is, so that you can have good judgment, so that your discernment can be top tier. Because once we're having sex and stuff, it's like walking in the flesh to the highest extent, and all your judgment is clouded. it's just so clouded. And now you have a soul tie and you're bonded with that person because sex is for marriage and it's for covenant. And it was never meant to be broken. And that's why a lot of times we'll be so devastated once we break up with that person because we've entered into a covenant with them. And now God gotta rip you apart from them. And it's painful a lot of times. So the rules that God has is for our protection. It's because he loves us. And when we obey God, we just make our lives so much easier. I made a disaster of my life. And I think that's an understatement. A disaster. I literally almost died. And the devil knows what you like. He knows what you're like. He's not going to send what you don't like. What? He knew. Send me that tall chocolate package, please. Get me every time. Got me every time. He knows. He knows. So we got to pray about everything. Pray as those people into your life. Ask God, who is this person? Did you send this person? What are they in my life? Why are they here? And trust God enough to let go when he says let go. You know, that's the hard part. Let go when God says let go. It makes me think of I don't know if you guys remember, it was like a little cartoon. And I said it, I always think of this when God be telling us to let go of stuff. And the little teddy bear that the girl had behind her back. And the Lord is like, can I have it, please? And she didn't want to let it go. And it was a huge teddy bear that Jesus had behind his back. In our lives, it is just like that. But we can't see what God has behind his back. But we have to trust him enough to let go. He knows what's best. However much you love that person, however great you think they are, the devil cannot outdo God. The devil cannot outdo God. So no matter how wonderful you think that person is, if they're not from the Lord, he has something a million times better. Trust God and let it go. Let it go. It's not worth it. And those things look all wonderful and nice and sweet, but they will kill you. Sometimes they will kill you physically, but they will kill you spiritually. It's not worth it. God loves us. He knows what we like. He knows what we want, but he knows what we need. He will give you what you need. Don't chase those things that are not of him. Trust God to just let go. Trust him to do what he said he's going to do. He will do it. And the thing is, the longer we stay in disobedience, we just take longer to get to the promise. So the faster we listen, the better it is for us. So that's my long old thing. There's so much more I could say, but I've already been on here really, really long. Thank you for all you guys who stayed, to listen. I'm just hoping it will help somebody because I did enough stuff for everybody. You don't got to go through this. You don't got to go through it. I went through it for you. Just obey God. Just trust God. Learn to enjoy God. There's nothing in this world worth missing God over. God knows how good sex is. He created it. He knows how good it is, but it's even better with the person that he has for you. It's even better. The things that you want, let God give it to you. Wait on him. We cannot outgive God. We can't outgive him. We can't beat him giving. So wait on God for the things that you're desiring. Don't try to go out and pick yourself. Don't try to go out and do it yourself. Obey God. That's where the protection is. Every time I stepped outside of God's will for my life, that's when I got hemmed up. Every time. That's why I got hemmed up. I almost lost my life. And that was like jarring to me. That was eye-opening to me. It's like being with the Lord is like being in a gated community that you live in. And the enemy is outside that gate like a sniper, waiting for you to step your pinky toe outside that gate, out of the ark of safety. Stay with God. Stay with God. The devil is always trying to set us up and send people and stuff and waste your time and have you be trapped and have you miserable. Just obey God. If you living all crazy, repent. It's that easy. Repent. Ask for forgiveness. Come back to God. Line your life up. If you don't have the strength to let people go, pray for strength. I had to pray for strength. I could not let that man go to save my life. I wanted my family together. I had 2 kids with him. I didn't want to be wrong. Oh, Lord, I was already wrong 2 times already. I don't want to be wrong again. But it's better to be wrong, admit it, take accountability, repent, and get back on the right track than to waste more time and to be without God. We don't know how much time we have. The end of the world for you could be tomorrow. It's not promised. It really isn't. So we can't be acting like we have all this time. Get right with God while you can. Get right with him while you can and just obey God. So I'm going to leave it there because I'm already long-winded and I'll just keep talking and talking and talking. But that is the majority of my testimony. That's the main parts. The third part, I'm still living it out right now. And I'll tell y'all about that at a later time. I'm working on a couple of more books. So I'll keep you guys posted about that. That way you can read about things in detail. But if you want to read the first part of my testimony, it's called Girl Listen by Nia Chambers. And it's on Amazon. This is what it looks like. It's on Amazon. I think it's really cheap now because it's old. I put this out probably in during COVID. It was 2020, the end of 2020. So I'm working on some more books. I gotta get it out. I'm hoping that it blesses somebody. And I hope this helped you guys. I hope this helped. So I love you guys. I pray that you just fight that good fight. Be encouraged. God has a wonderful plan for your life. Whatever you're in, God can get you out of anything. If you trust him, if you call on him, whatever you need help with, ask him. Sometimes I had to pray before I prayed. Like, Lord, help me to pray the right thing. And then I pray. Like sometimes you that far gone, but you're never too far that God can't reach you. So I love you guys. You guys stay blessed. Keep your sword up. Fight that good fight. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for being on my live.